afterwards so that you all have a reference document and video thereafter. Let's see, yeah, we're just about 4:04. All right, so just a reminder again, if everyone can go to their lower right-hand corner, their screen right, and hit the mute button so that we can avoid any background noise would be fantastic. And let's get started. So great. Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Hurd. I am the Senior Online Director of Education at the Master of Social Work program here at JSS. I'm really excited that we were able to have our kickoff today and that you're all here. I want to introduce you to the team. Many of you have been here before. Many of you are new. So it's wonderful to have everyone together and be able to kick off our launch for next week. So I really would love to introduce one of the most awesome colleagues that I've worked with in many, many years. Kathleen, if you can introduce yourself, and I'm just going to give you smiles and love from this. So Kathleen, you're on mute. Not sure where the feedback's coming from. Can you come off mute to say hello?
Hi. Okay, here I am. Sorry about that. Well, I wasn't sure if you were talking about me when you told everyone I was the best colleague. So thank you. Kathleen Rund. I'm the assistant director for the online social work program, and I'm so excited to be here and to be with all of you.
Joe Batista,
Hi,
one of our fabulous faculty, fabulous administrators as well. Can you say hello as well?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I thought I was logged in from my own personal one, but apparently I'm online MSW tech support tonight, which may lead to the fact that I do wear many hats here, and I'm a super team player, and I love kind of being part of this team and working with my colleagues, working with students, and working with faculty as well. So my role is a student services advisor, and I do work closely with the students, and that's one of my passions is just kind of feeding off their passion for getting involved in this venture and their own passion to pursue a degree in social work and to become change makers and policy makers of the future. So thank you all for joining us tonight for the kickoff, and I'm happy to be here with you all.
Thanks so much, Joe. I think we have Jeff Coyle,
Hi, everyone.
Director of Online Field.
Jeff Coyle. I oversee the field component for the online program, and I work with the field advisors when they have to escalate issues in field or just have general questions, and that's my role.
And Sue Groman is our administrative assistant who's not on the call. She's at class. So I just wanted to introduce you all to her as well. So this is the administrative team of the program department. We serve as sort of your triage for all needs, whether that be with the faculty, administrative needs, if there's student issues, with your course leads and so forth. So we'll go over a few things, but I certainly wanted you to be introduced to the administrative team. I'm hoping that we have one of our online faculty committee members online. Judy, are you here by chance? She may not be, but I do want to introduce you all to the online faculty committee. There's a faculty run, normally full-time faculty that are involved with the online committee. Many of the curricular and classroom management, best practices, innovation, and lots of other faculty activities happen within this committee. So as you work with your faculty mentors and your course leads, many of the experiences that you all have and questions that you all may have will flow through that committee. So please know that the faculty committee is very involved, obviously, with the online program. Very, very involved, which is fabulous. So, all right, let's just sort of get to it. I want to be conscious of everyone's time and make sure that we can get through some of the operational stuff and get you all out within the hours promised. So administrative and some operational overview and things that we can chat a little bit about. I think I'll hand this one over to Kathleen because she'll be able to talk about some of our curricular plans of studies, our oversight model, and the delivery for this particular program.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. So we'll give you sort of a brief overview, and obviously you're all connected with your course leads who are connected with our faculty mentors, so you'll have a lot of support and understanding of the new curriculum. So just to put it out there, for this new fall semester, this is a new MSW curriculum that was decided by faculty. So this is a launch of a new curriculum with all new students. So every student that you'll be teaching this semester in this platform are newly admitted students for this fall semester. So we're very excited about that. We have plans of study that consist of a traditional and an advanced standing, and those could be either in a full-time or part-time. So in any of the courses that you're teaching, you could have students who are pursuing the full-time traditional, and those students would be in field placement beginning in October. Or you could have students who are part-time, but because traditional, part-time, and full-time, they could be in the same section of the course that you're teaching. And then the same thing for the advanced standing students. So those could be full-time or part-time. But just it's important to know that the students who make up your classes could be in field, and that adds an additional component to their curriculum for that semester, and obviously their workload. So the other things to point out is that this is a program that consists of 8-week semesters, or sessions, I should say. Each of these are running very fast, 2 8-week sessions per semester. We now have 3 admitting terms, so we are now welcoming students into the program for fall, spring, and summer. And each of those semesters is a full active semester. So in the past, if those of you who have taught with us before, summer was typically 1 session. Summer will now be an active admitting term as well as a full 2-semester, 2-session program for the summer. We also have year-round field placement, so that's also for you to know, and for those of you who are continuing with us, that is a newly added element for this program. And students are super excited because they can move through this program at, in some cases, a more accelerated pace than that they had in the past. The mentor and course lead and section instructor oversight is what you are all tied to now, and we hope that you are all tied to that. In most cases, the person who's overseeing the entirety of the course, including oversight of the lead, in most cases is going to be a faculty member who is the course developer. And their title for this structure is a faculty course mentor. So again, these are likely the faculty who have developed the course, and in most cases are teaching the course as well. Under that structure comes the course lead, and the course lead, depending on how many sections of the course is running, the course lead may be 1 course lead, or you may have 2 course leads. But for you, for the section instructors, what's important to know is that you would only be working with 1 course lead as your go-to. So human rights, for example, that's a large number of sections. There's 2 leads, but each of you as a section instructor would know who your lead is, and that's your main point person. And so that's the structure that we're rolling out, and we're hoping it's going smooth for all of you who've connected with each of those people.
Work fine on these computers?
Yeah.
On these computers, it works fine? Yeah,
If we
but
could
it's a bit slow.
excuse me,
Yeah.
just gonna point out if we could just mute our
You
lines.
want maybe better connection in the bar.
Okay,
Downstairs?
I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
talking,
downstairs,
but if
yeah.
you can mute your lines, we can hear your conversation. Thank you. Course delivery, just to, and you all know this, but course delivery does consist of both asynchronous and synchronous. So I think a lot of the communications have been about, well, what day and time can you teach, and making sure it fits in with your schedule. And that certainly is a weekly requirement, but what's also a required element is the weekly asynchronous. So we basically can look at a course and say 3/4 of the course is run in the asynchronous format on the 2-4 LMS platform, and 1/4 of the course is going to be run on your weekly live sessions. Both parts are 100% required for both students and instructors to be a part of. And Patricia's going to talk a little bit more about that attendance policy at this point. Okay.
I just wanted to take myself off mute. So that said, I just want to add a note about the oversight structure with the faculty mentors and the course leads and the section instructors. I'm hoping everybody is sort of clear on what that what those roles are and where you are within those roles. I did want to note that the same structure exists for on-campus, and one of the main reasons for this is obviously the large number of adjuncts, keeping connections with the full-time faculty and the developers, and specifically with the sequence chairs for each area, so that online and on campus obviously are always in alignment, and we're serving our students regardless of which program modality they're in, because the MSW program is the same whether it be on campus or hybrid or online. So this structure is designed to support the synergy between those deliveries. That said, the course lead serves a very important role to keep the connection with each of the section instructors, so that information, questions, challenges can be brought up to that level, and then the course lead coordinates with the faculty mentor, obviously who's bringing that back to the full-time faculty and the curriculum and the committees on the whole. So it's a really important structure that we're looking forward to ensuring alignment and best practices and the best curriculum possible for our students. So thank you all for taking part in each of those roles. Attendance policy. Yes, quickly, because of the online structure, the nature of these courses, the intensity of the eight week schedule, it's really important to follow an attendance policy, which is not different than the attendance policy that we've had in the original online program, just adapted slightly for the synchronous needs. So attendance is tricky. Attendance for the most part would be well, first of all, every faculty and every student is required to be at every session and every asynchronous week. So I want to make sure that that's clear. If there are 2 missed sessions, and again, a missed session could be an asynchronous activity during any given week, or a synchronous session, that student could actually fail the course or be automatically withdrawn and so forth. Those missed sessions might be concurrent, they might be non-concurrent. And again, within an 8-week session, that time, it's almost 1/4 of the course that's being missed, even if at two missed sessions. You want to be in communication with your course lead, and Kathleen in particular at the academic department, to let anybody know that a student is in danger or close to missing or hasn't been showing up within the asynchronous area or the synchronous area. We really want to keep track of it, because if it's happening in your course, chances are it may be also happening in another section, another course, and that, a student obviously would be in danger of academic progress. So we want to catch these things as proactively as possible. So we really ask that you hold to sort of keeping an eye on the attendance. When we send out the PowerPoint and the videos from this call, we'll give you a little cheat sheet on how to check the asynchronous activity within the platform, the learning management platform. It's called the activity report within that area, and you could see basically who's logged in, when, if they completed a module, and so forth. So it's really important for you to all stay involved and making sure that each student is participating in the way that they should. Righty.
So picking up on attendance, I'm just going to talk briefly about holidays and also rescheduling of your synchronous sessions. So attendance obviously is required, but we have many students who observe specific religious holidays, and we as a university will accommodate any students who have an observance, and if it happens to fall on a day where there is a live session, this is an excused absence. So what we will do is part of our follow-up in sending out material after this presentation tonight is we'll send you the holiday schedule so you know what's coming up. And in September, there are some Jewish observances that will impact the Tuesday night sessions, for those of you who are teaching on that time. But basically, we have to accommodate the students, and we will accommodate those students by offering them communication that there is an agreement in some way, that they've reached out to you and they've notified you that they do observe. And then on your end as the instructor, we'll ask that there's communication to the student that you in fact will accommodate that, and that also that the student is expected to be to keep up on all work for that week. So that is, that is in some way the accommodation, that the students are aware that they're expected to keep up on all the work that's due for that week. So they do not have to make up the session that they miss, and it is an excused absence. And so for those of you, for those of you teaching, may also observe. So for those of you who also may need to miss a session, regardless of what it is, so whether it's a religious observance or perhaps you need to reschedule a session, you're going away or there's something happening, and some of you have communicated that already. What the process would be is that there is really a 2-week window. We do ask 2 weeks prior to the live session that you first are reaching out to your course lead, and you're notifying your course lead that this upcoming live session is a date that you cannot attend to. I also will ask that you CC me on that as well, just so I can help support being your point of contact for this program, for out of this office, that I'm aware of that. Faculty will want to make sure that the course lead is aware that they can help coordinate the makeup. And there's a few steps and priorities in which that would be taken. The first would be the course lead would help coordinate to see if there's another section instructor that is able to cover that live session. The reason why that's sort of the first priority that we want to adhere to is because students, they are making their schedule way ahead of time to attend these live sessions, and it would be in their best interest that the live session at that scheduled day and time still does continue, if there happens to be somebody available to help support and teach that day and time that you cannot be there. The other options would be that either the course lead could fill in for you, or if need be, that the session itself is rescheduled on one of our alternate teaching days. And we do have days reserved where there are no online courses, live courses that is, being run. So that's sort of the 3 tiers of how we would help to reschedule that. I think that covers in terms of the rescheduling. And again, that goes for any type of rescheduling, whether it's a holiday or a religious observance or a personal reason that you have to. And obviously we understand things come up. If you get really sick, we would rather you take care of yourself. And so we understand that 2-week notice wouldn't happen at that point.
Kathleen, can I just add a note to that? It's really important that we stay within the required contact hours for any given course. Things happen, and we really want to make sure that makeup schedule is sort of put in place or holding that course session, again, because we have to be really careful to manage those contact hours. And with that said, if that makeup if it is the choice to go along with the makeup, that it happens within a 2-week period, obviously if it's, the last class or something like that, we have to figure something else out, but within a timely manner, we want to make up that time. Sorry, Kathleen, please go ahead.
Okay. No, I think that is probably concludes that portion. And we'll talk now about the live session sort of etiquette and making sure that you're all you know, ready to present your live sessions, and that includes who, you know, how you're appearing and your environment. But I'll have Patricia talk about that.
Great. So we can use this call, I guess, as a model, right? If we're all looking at our video thumbnails here, we want to be conscious of what our students see. First of all, I think there's a lot more headroom than there probably should be, right? I'd want to make sure there's no distraction in the back here. Just be really conscious of what your environment looks like and what it sounds like. You're obviously representing Fordham, so it should be as professional as possible. I've been in online education for a really long time, and I can't even begin to tell you what has happened and what I've seen. So I just wanted to certainly make that a note. I think one of the other challenging things is sound, and just making sure that we're in an environment where the students can hear us, and these same expectations are for them. So when you're starting your synchronous sessions, put some ground rules out there and make sure that they're all on the same page. It's really great when people can turn their video on if that's something that you choose and want to teach that way. And you want to sort of set that up, set the tone for the entirety of the class. If anyone needs any support with setting up their cameras or doing some testing, again, we at the administrative department are happy to help you in any way. Our online partners as well, I hope you all know that you will have support not only in the training aspect, and please anybody let us know if that hasn't happened yet, or if you need additional training. They are available for additional training at request, and they'll also be supportive within at least the first couple of your synchronous sessions. They'll be in the session for a bit in case you have any technical issues or anything thereafter. Outside of that, I think it's just a matter of making sure that you're being heard, your students are carrying out with the same synchronous and online etiquette as you are. The same thing for the asynchronous environment. Just set a tone in terms of how you want your prompts responded to, and full sentences if we all may, and things like that. So model how you'd like your students to behave, and then obviously make sure that they are fully aware and have that conversation with them. And it's a great time to really connect in different ways. Allow them to connect with each other as well, and don't feel like you always have to just be on stage. Same as in class.
Patricia, and also just one thing to add, and all the live sessions are in Eastern Standard Time. So we're so fortunate to have instructors from all over the country, which is so exciting, because that's what our students represent as well. But we just want to be mindful that the live sessions were scheduled for Eastern Standard Time, and students are prepared to log in at that time on the live sessions. So that cannot be changed.
Absolutely. So Eastern Standard Time, and then, I'm sorry, was there a question? Great.
I just wanted to say hi. I was Georgiadis. I have some major issues here with the connection. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's great. We can hear you. So we can certainly connect afterwards and make sure that you have a recording of the call, and then we can follow up if there's any other needs. But we want to just make sure that everybody's on mute, and we can hopefully get everyone the info at least within this first hour.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. Speaking of mute, I think that's a great practice to begin at least class, so that everybody's on the same page, and then you can manage your classrooms accordingly. Everybody could not be on mute depending on the noise distraction. So feel free. But that's something I like to do at least in the beginning, so that we can get started. Kathleen, did I miss anything? We talked about Eastern Standard Time. I will say to people that please don't be surprised that online students, you may have someone that's in the tri-state area but is still logging in the middle of the night to do their asynchronous work. But be conscious of, obviously, that everyone is aware that we're on Eastern Standard Time clock for the synchronous sessions. I did want to make a note about some of the resources that you have, and one in particular, the Office of Disability Services is certainly an office that is there for students, that may need their services, but that office will contact you if there's a student that has requested and has been approved for any accommodations. This will be a student office faculty conversation. What the particulars are of those accommodations don't really necessarily need to be known by others. I will say that our office is here to support if those accommodations are requested to be something that might be out of the traditional technology delivery, or something that needs a little bit more special attention. So we would be in touch with the Office of Disabilities to help support you supporting those accommodations. So we don't need to spend too much time on that, but that's the only time that we would be looped in, and just know that that's available for you and for your students. I did want to quickly just touch on the Federal Act FERPA and student privacy. In class, on ground, some of those things are a bit easier to and on the surface. When it comes to online, sometimes they're not so easy to determine. Just be conscious of that in the online setting, in terms of disclosure of grades or any materials and things like that. You know, for the most part, the system is set up that it would never do that, but just be careful about where you're typing, how you're typing, what's being shown, what's being discussed. You know, when you're on camera and talking about something, just be conscious of those two important areas. And we'll talk a little bit about some training materials that we have available for all of you, which will detail a bit more about FERPA and student privacy. I just want to bring awareness to that. Great. So we'll talk a little bit about classroom management. We'll touch on academic integrity and plagiarism. These are some of the things that we all as faculty might have challenges with some of the students. I would recommend that you make that a point of discussion with each of your students. Let them know that we do have resources that Kathleen will detail a bit more in a moment. We have too many issues with plagiarism, unfortunately, and we can all talk about the many reasons why that might be happening. But in a proactive, supportive measure, I think if we do bring attention to it early on, and let students know about the resources that are there, we can maybe avoid some of the larger issues. I won't spend too much time in that area, other than to say that it's unfortunately brought up more often than I'd like, and I'm hoping that we could work as a community to see what we could do for our students so that they're aware of it, take it seriously, especially in the many legal documentation that they may all be part of within this valuable profession. So just to make a note of that. Kathleen, do you want to talk a little bit more about some of the resources, the writing resource and the orientation and so forth? You're on mute. You're still on mute. While Kathleen is working out her microphone, I did want to request that anyone please feel free to type a question, so that if we don't get to everyone's questions, we want to leave a little bit of time, but if we don't get to everyone's, we'll be able to follow up with an answer from the chat after the call, before the end of the week. So feel free to type in any questions there so that we could be sure that we can address them as a group later on.
Great. Sorry about that. I lost my mouse for a moment. So what's really exciting to be launching along with with this platform is a full writing course for students, and it has so much information. It was coordinated with the library to help produce. So it has anything from APA support through any other writing resources that the library recommends. It has videos. It has links outside to very reputable writing sources. So it's a very comprehensive course that every student will be automatically enrolled in. So it may be worth mentioning, as you're going along that, and we'll also be reminding students of that. But we want to make sure students are accessing it, that you can refer students back to it if you're noticing there's, problems in, structure, citations, that they could go there and they could get their assistance. They can go. It's asynchronous. They would work through those modules, but it's a very comprehensive course that all students will be enrolled in. We also have a very comprehensive new student orientation, and it's a very pretty in-depth course that students were enrolled in about a month ago. So every new student coming in was enrolled in this course to become familiar with all the policies, the procedures, the curriculum, their plans of study, their contacts, and it's hosted in the asynchronous LMS, so they were able to get experience with what the LMS looked like. They've also had live sessions already with their support advisors. So a lot of the items that they will need to attend to and have practice with, they've had experience with up until really from the time they were admitted up until now. So we're hopeful these students are pretty prepared on how to access the resources that are available for them on the platform. I think the other thing to mention, and Patricia's going to talk a little bit more about faculty support, but in each of your live sessions, you will have a dedicated faculty technology support who will be with you along the way. And so we certainly know in the beginning, and for those of you who are the very first launch, 12 o'clock on Tuesday, you're going first, so you'll have that live person, and they'll be able to work with you and support you so that you can teach and that you're not worried about technology, because we do not want anyone to be worried about technology or screen sharing or anything. It's about teaching, and they're there to support you. And so that's a huge resource. Also, our office, to just really highlight, if there is ever anything that's coming up and you're just unsure, if it's you've reached out to the student 10 times and they haven't responded, or just any uncertainty in an administrative capacity, you're certainly welcome to reach out to us for support. We're here to help you along the way. So Patricia, if you wanted to talk a little bit more about the faculty support, the one other item was grading as well.
So I'll touch on grading. Grading, we do ask that final grades are in within a 24 to 48 hour time period, if not sooner. Please realize, again, with an 8-week semester, students are registering and moving from one course to the next fairly quickly. There are many impacts, if they're full-time student, part-time students, so that time frame is very short. And I will say that when students are completing their degrees in the summertime, we are right up a very small time frame for them to have those degrees conferred so that they can move on to licensure or their next job or whatever that is. And believe it or not, without having those grades, it makes it really, really difficult for people to continue with their lives. So I just wanted to put out the impact of some of those final grades. Obviously, assignment grades and feedback is really, really important as well. We do have a lot of information from students just wishing there was a little bit more community, wishing there was a little bit more frequent feedback from their faculty. So, I'll loop that with grades and just make sure that we say and we talk about how important it is to have that consistent feedback, because online students, they may not necessarily, they're not bumping into people in the hallway or having a chance to chat with you after class in the same way, and they may feel a bit disconnected, so that consistent feedback is really important. One thing that we also haven't talked about is an interaction policy. Please make sure that your students know when you're going to get back to them, so they'll have that expectation set right away. I'll get back to you within 12 to 24 hours, so to speak. This way, if they ask a question, they're not expecting a response. They will expect a response within 12 to 24 hours, not necessarily right away. So it's great for you and it's great for them if you set that early on. Perfect. If you know that you're not going to be available at all over the weekend, it is really important to respond at least within 48 hours, but give them that expectation. It gives you a breather, and it gives them an understanding of how to move forward. In terms of support, obviously, we hold these kickoff meetings so that you know who your administrative support is. The course leads are the section instructor support, obviously on that end. The faculty mentors are the support for the leads, and within that faculty teaching community, you all are support for one another. I do want to bring attention to, and see if we can bring the slide up, of some material that we have available to you. I mentioned the FERPA and the student privacy. After this call, we'll resend the link to this Google Drive where we have a ton of documents and some information. There's different phases, so as we go from sort of a macro highlight of some areas to a micro component, definitely lots of resources in here. I hope that everyone really does go through each of these components, because there's some important information that we just don't want to inundate you with a webinar call. Everyone should have this link, but again, we'll send it back out so that you have additional information. Everyone should have been contacted by our online vendor. Again, if you haven't, please point that out. Outside of the technical support we've talked about, that we're all here. I think classroom management is probably one of the areas that we can spend a lot of time on administratively, and working with your faculty leads and so forth to discuss. So keep the communication going in that sense. I will ask you to also continue to document two things. So document progress with your students. Let your students know what that progress is. Document maybe some internal notes for yourself, because you never know if we might need to call on you for a challenge with a student or administrative review or something of that sort. So these things, we sort of want to always know what's going on. Document items within the course so that you can bring those things to your course lead, and keep in communication with each other and in communication with us, because obviously all important. I just want to take a quick look, and Kathleen, if you can as well, there's a couple of questions that are coming in, so maybe we have a little bit of time before we end with some of those. But before we even do that, Kathleen, I just wanted to check with you that we covered everything that we needed to. You all see why I rely on her so much, right?
Yes, and I apologize. My screen is kind of glitching out here a little bit, so I do apologize. I think we've covered it all. I mean, classroom management, just to piggyback off of what Patricia was saying, is obviously extremely important. And as we go along, I think you'll find that there is a support among your colleagues who you're teaching with. So rely on those folks as well, because you're all in it together, and we know that there's a lot of power and support in that. So as we go along, if things are coming up for you, certainly do reach out. I think that's it on my end.
I think most questions are being answered on the chat. You guys are awesome. Any guidelines regarding office hours? Keep them virtual. Have a chunk of hours that you can be available within the week that work for you, and obviously work for this demographic of student who may be a bit more evening based, and so on and so forth. It doesn't have to be a lot of office hours. You just want to have that consistency and availability. But if we call them virtual office hours, it's more, again, to set that interaction policy and support when you know that you could be available. So we're setting the expectation for students, and you're not being inundated by emails all day, every day. For an online faculty, it's important to sort of manage that time for yourself as well. So I'm hoping that answered the question for guidelines of office hours. We do have a few minutes for maybe 2 or 3 questions or any other comments. I noticed that we have our faculty mentors and course leads on, and I thank you all for taking the time to be with us today. It would be lovely to hear from one of our other committee members and faculty.
Hi, Patricia. This is Kelly. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hi. Good. I'm on the phone. I'm not on a video. But thank you for reviewing all this. It's very, very helpful. And yeah, we have some great instructors. And I want to just echo what you said about sharing information to each other, because each of us comes with a different specialty and expertise in our area. So I encourage everyone to really share that material with each other. The other part is that I was wondering, this is a question that's come up regarding recording of the synchronous sessions. Will the synchronous sessions be recorded, and is there a way that we are allowed to pause the recording if we want to or need to for different reasons?
Kelly, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, so the Zoom synchronous sessions are indeed recorded. Each and every one of them by default are set to be recorded. This is a conversation that we are having with the faculty as a group, and we'll move that over to our technology partner. So there's some, obviously there's some considerations about that, and we certainly are having that conversation soon so that we can decide whether or not we want to continue to move forward with that. But until now, they are being recorded and they are available for the students only within their course. So another student can't access them, they can't be downloaded or anything of the sort. So just know that yes, they can be recorded. They'll only be reviewable within the course section. So the student has to be registered for that section to see the recording. You can and should at any point turn the recording off if you want to. If you're not comfortable for it being recorded, just please let your students know that that's the case, because different faculty may deal with this in different ways. You might have a guest speaker coming in that has been approved by your course lead, who may have information, and sometimes we've had government speakers, so to speak, that can't be recorded and things like that. You can turn them off. Work with our online vendor to make sure that you know how to turn that off when you do want to and when you do need to. So that's a great question, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a side note, it's great to have the recording so that it's best practices in a sense for online students, so they can go back to the asynchronous material, so they can go back to the synchronous material as it supports their learning journey. Not everyone learns at the same time and at the same rate in the same way. So it's available for that reason. But again, put your policy, your interaction, your feeling around that, but it does not excuse a student from not attending class. So I can't be there, but I'm going to look at the recording is a missed session. So I just want to make sure that that's clear within the attendance policy. Another question or any of our full-time faculty that might want to comment at all? Well, this webinar is going very smoothly. Let me just take a quick gander at any of the questions that are coming in. There is a question about whether or not foundation students will be in placement. Kathleen, do you want to take that one on while I look at some of the other questions here?
Sure. So yes, there is certainly a possibility. Foundation students can pursue a full-time or part-time plan of study. And we do have a large group of those students who will come in this fall, admitted as a full-time foundation student, and they will begin their field placements in October. The same goes for advanced standing. They can come in full-time or part-time, and that group would also start in October. For part-time students, they will begin in the spring. So if all goes well and you love teaching for us, you'll come back and you'll teach again, and maybe you'll teach a different course, and maybe you'll have some of the same students. So they will, field will continue each term. Full-time begins at the first term.
So just responding to 2 questions, if I can. Speaking of terms, we are full catalog of courses every fall, every spring, and every summer. We are admitting students each one of those 3 semesters. Summer is a full-time semester. With that said, students in many cases can complete a lot quicker than they would in a traditional program. Once we are at launch, so we have a certain amount of classes that are running this fall, another set that will run in spring in addition to these that are running in fall, and then summer will have all fall classes, all spring, and all summer courses running. And by fall of 19, right? Is that correct? We will be running every course every semester. So just know this, the progression of how this is building, which is wonderful. There's a question about observations, and thank you so much for bringing this up. Observations are not going to be conducted in the way that they're written within the section instructor document. This is something that the school and the faculty are continuing to look into. We want to be fair and complete in how those observations are being treated. So this is continue to be looked at. Observations different than the conversation. So again, no observations in week 3 as described, as previously described. I will make a note about the classroom evaluations, the student evaluations. Those will continue as they had been in the original online program and the existing on-campus program. Kathleen, if you could remind me, I think they're open for a week after the sessions. Is that correct?
Yes. So students will receive a link to complete the survey or the course evaluation in week 7. And it will close out the week after the course ends. So they have 2 weeks to complete it.
Great. Okay. So if you all can certainly you might take part of your synchronous time to say, everybody take out your phones, go ahead and do your course evaluations. I think that would be fabulous because we want to have those completed. So evaluations and grades have nothing to do with each other, right? Perfect. Okay. Time for one more question. There's not anything majorly new coming up in the,
I think one question that's come up about faculty profiles, and there is, and I'm just looking at the training here, there is a pathway in which you would be able to submit your photo and a brief bio, and that would be part of the link that we'll resend out, and there is a description on how to go about doing that, because we certainly want to have you all represented and what your experiences you bring into this into our school from your profession and from the field. So we'll certainly make sure you have that information so that we can build that out.
Yes, that's in the phase 1 of this document, the link that you'll see, the phase 1 folder. Great. All right, so if there aren't, if anyone wants to have a vocal question, I think we have time for one more if there is such a question. All right. Well, that said, I think we can.
Patricia, I'm sorry, just two quick ones. It looks like have come.
Okay, go ahead.
How do we get access to the Zoom classroom and a schedule of classes for next year? So, and in terms of the schedule for next year, I mean, you can access the academic calendar. It's publicly on the website. You can access that. And we would also send out for each term the academic calendar and the term calendar. So that is, up to date in terms of you or anybody being able to access that. In terms of planning for next term, in terms of vacancies and assignments, as some of you know, you may have been, hired a long time ago, and some of you are more recent. So we're always going to be looking at our upcoming semester in a rolling type of fashion. So you can expect that a specific schedule of classes would be made available soon.
Yes, hi, Kathy. Can I make a quick statement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hello everybody. I know you already spoke about the issue of recording the classes, and this might be coming up in your conversation too. My other concern with recording is that it could impact the environment. That is, when students know that they're being recorded, especially in some of the classes, they might be more or less likely to share. That's one issue. And the second issue is, and it's unfortunate that I have to bring this issue up in this day and age, is even though other students can't get into it, it doesn't stop a student from taking their cell phone and recording a session with their cell phone, which then becomes live. So what happens is 10, 15 years from now, when I'm running for senator and if someone pulls up the video. You know what I mean? It's just a situation now where electronically things hang on a lot longer than we might like. And so I'm hoping that that's part of the discussion too. Like, we don't really record in the campus, and I do know it's a good resource for students, but maybe I'm glad that they're at least talking about that. Thanks.
Absolutely. And thank you, Sebastian. Those are really, really important points, hence the reason why we're having that discussion amongst faculty. Again, you all do have that option.
I have a question.
If you hear otherwise, you can immediately bring that to our attention. You have that option to turn the recording off. I'm personally a fan of the recording because there are some online students that do need it, but it has to be known and accepted and supported by everyone involved. The classroom is supposed to be set up as a safe environment. So that said, considerations have to be put in place to ensure that. So I do agree with you, and full discussion around that. But please know that you have that prerogative. Just please let it be known by students, because it may be recorded in one course, in one section, and maybe not in another course. So we
Understood.
Just
that makes sense.
Great.
I have a question.
Please go ahead. I just I can't see the video yet, so just let me know who has the question. Certainly.
I do. Susan Flynn.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I see myself here. I don't know what I'm doing here because I'm not a faculty and I'm not a team lead. I'm an instructor. I don't know how I got here. So I just Zoom myself in. But am I in the wrong place at the wrong time, or?
Not at all. Okay. Not at all.
Where is everybody?
We have this fancy section instructor term, but our wonderful faculty are many of you are what we're calling section instructors. Our faculty are section instructors.
Okay.
And we have our course leads who are also possibly adjunct faculty, in some cases full-time faculty, and for the most part, our fancy term now, faculty mentors are normally our full-time faculty who maybe have developed the course or sequencers and so on and so forth. So we have all these lovely names within our oversight model. I graciously honor each of our faculty as section instructors as well.
Thank you.
You are in the perfect place.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
All righty, Kathleen, do you think we're good? Anything that we're missing?
I think just there was, excuse me, just one outstanding question about how do we get access to the Zoom classroom?
The Zoom classroom is going to be part of your course. So within the learning management system, you will be setting up each of your Zoom meetings, your synchronous meetings within that course site shell. And the reason for that, again, is for the protection that any Zoom meeting that you set up stays only within that shell, and whoever has access to that shell as a registered student has access to that Zoom link. So it's within your course site. So two things: you should have access to your course site. If you don't, let us know. And two, if you're not sure how to set up your Zoom sessions, that's part of the training with our online vendor. So you'd want to just reach out to them or reach out to us, and we'll help facilitate a conversation that you know how to be trained, how to set that up and access Zoom.
Real simple. I can add to that. Go into the LMS, set up your meetings on the left side where it says meetings, and on the top right side there'll be a link to go to the room. Just click and it takes you right to Zoom. It's pretty simple.
Thank you, Robert. Great. Well, I wish we had time to introduce each and every one of you, because I'm just thrilled that I can see you all on video and record you. I'm a little joke there. And see your names and meet everyone. We're a large group. I'm really excited to be delivering this online course with you all. My team is awesome. I want to thank them personally for all the work that they've done. It's been a huge effort in supporting this launch from an administrative side, and the faculty and the new curriculum and the dean. It's a really wonderful, fabulous group, and I'm looking forward for all of you to be engaged in that group, and those of you that are new, welcome. Alrighty, so thank you, everyone. We'll see
Thank
you. Have a wonderful weekend, and we're ready for launch on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.